Hey girls, Tiffany Don here, and I'm back with my hubby James. I know you girls are always so excited to see him on the videos because he's amazing.
I appreciate the love.
Yeah, I know. I'm always like, look at all these comments about how great you are. So today we're going to talk about questions to ask before you get engaged.
Because I think a lot of times, you think, oh, I've been dating this person for a while. I feel like I know them. They're a great person. Should we take this to the next level? What does that look like? How do I know? So here are some questions that we've talked about that we think are a little outside the box that you think you might want to talk about with you and your significant other, maybe with your friends, people who know you well. Try to get an understanding if you guys are really on the same page and in the right season of life to maybe get engaged.
Yeah, and then at the end of this video, we're going to share what we did for premarital counseling because it was a lot different than what I think a lot of people do, and we really liked it. So we'll share these 5 questions for you to talk about and then what we did for premarital. So our first question is this: does your significant other appreciate the things you have to share? So does he listen to you? Does he really take to heart the things that you're saying and sharing? And is he willing to even make changes based on some of those things? Not that he's going to change everything based on them, but is he going to take it seriously? We know some relationships and some couples where one person or the other isn't really willing to listen to their partner, and it makes for a really difficult marriage. It kind of leads to feeling like you're unappreciated and your partner doesn't care about you.
And a lot of times it's going to be for little things because you can't really project what it's going to be like 5 years down the road when you're trying to decide if you're going to buy this house or that house or move to this city or that city. But it's in little things like where you're going to spend Christmas and whose family you're going to see, or how you're prioritizing seeing your friends and his friends. Because inevitably, if two people are being honest, they're going to disagree with one another, and you want to see, what's that communication like during those disagreements.
Yeah, and does he take what you have to say seriously and value your opinion and your feelings?
Number 2, and this is, I think, extremely important. This is something that Tiffany's dad told me, and I think it's incredibly profound, and it's ask yourself, what am I looking for in a marriage? And when I say that, I mean most people are looking for something specific that they might not be able to necessarily say. A lot of people are looking for a romantic
partner, lover.
A soulmate. Some people
are
looking for a soulmate. They're looking for someone that they can just stare into their eyes and do romantic things with and just spend so much time together. Other people are looking for more of a business partner. They're going to take care of some of the stuff in the house. The other person's going to take care of some other things in the house. They're going to love and be faithful to one another, but it's more like, hey, we're working together towards this shared goal. Some people are looking for a playmate or a best friend.
That's what my mom was looking for.
Someone who will do fun things with them. And, sometimes, they'll be off doing their own thing, but you'll get together and you do fun things. And that's really awesome. And each of us is kind of wired to be inclined more towards one of those 3 things, and the odds are that the person you're dating is inclined towards something else. And so even if you're really compatible with this person, you need to be sort of aware that at the end of the day, this person might be looking to get something out of being married that is different from what I'm trying to get. And so both of you need to be able to realize what the other person is looking for and adapt. But it is going to be, hey, I would prefer to go hang out with my friends. You would? You don't want to just spend the entire day with me?
Conversation has happened.
That's a real conversation.
I was looking for a soulmate. He was looking for more like a playmate, I think.
Yeah.
Which, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's helped us grow closer together and become, grow into more intimacy. But it's just something to be aware of. And I think sometimes you don't realize you had an expectation until it goes unmet.
Yes.
And you're like, wait, what is happening right now? And so it's just something to be aware of. And So number 3, is there anything that you have not shared with your significant other about yourself or your past? And why is that? What is it that you're not sharing, and why aren't you sharing that? We know some couples who they ended up getting married without really having a lot of open and honest conversations about their lives and their past because they so wanted to impress the other person.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's opening up to your partner about things that you're ashamed of in your past is not really about how your partner's going to react, even though you think it is. It's really about you and the intense shame that you feel over what has happened. And a lot of times what you'll find is when you share these things with someone who cares about you, they'll be like, well, I appreciate you sharing that with me, but that really doesn't change the dynamic of our relationship.
Yeah.
But not being totally honest with someone does change the dynamic of a relationship.
Yeah.
Eventually it will come out and it will not be good.
That leads to like a lot of breakdown of trust in the marriage. And that's really what intimacy is all about, like trust and openness, transparency. And if you don't have that, I would really take a step back before moving forward in the relationship. By the way, I'm having a really hard time sitting forward because my pregnant belly's getting so big, it's like in the way.
Oh,
I like
it's
can't
pushing
sit
you
forward all the
back.
way. It really is. I'm like gravity.
We'll need to start doing videos standing up or something.
Yeah, for real though. Do you remember your next one?
Yes. Something that I think everyone should ask themselves is, imagine my relationship with this person that I'm thinking of getting married to without any sexual chemistry at all. In other words, they're a nice person, but I'm not really attracted to them. I don't find he or she, particularly sexually attractive right now. Now, the purpose of this sort of mental exercise is to help you understand how much of your relationship is just based on, I'm so into this person, I'm obsessed with this person, they're awesome. And how much is, this person is a wonderful person, and, even through the ups and downs of life, I definitely want this person by my side. Because you will get to a point, if you are married, where you think, I don't know about this person. I don't know how attractive they feel right now because they just left their laundry all over the house again. And I don't care how hot they are, it's disgusting. Now, I don't feel that way, being someone who sort of leaves things strewn around. But that's an example of things that can really set people off, or the dishes not being done right, or just one of you gets into a funk. So you really need to think about the real compatibility that you have with someone apart from how attracted you are to them.
Yeah.
Being attracted to someone is so important, but being compatible with them also is, because you'll go through some tough times.
And a lot of the people we've talked to who've been married a long time, because one of our hobbies is to talk to people who've been married longer than us and who we like their marriage and just like get their ideas and advice. And so one of the things that a lot of them have shared is that there are seasons when you don't feel that strong romantic attraction to your spouse. And it doesn't mean that your marriage is falling apart. I think sometimes people think we're falling out of love, but that's not true. As you work through that, your marriage becomes stronger and closer. And so that's what they've told us anyway. And their marriage has come out of that. They're even closer than they were when they first got married. And so I think that, but they've said like that's normal, but you want to know that you're with someone who you really want to be with this person for who they are. Like you enjoy them, you want to spend your everyday with them. And then our last question number 5 is, am I willing and am I ready to give 100% to this marriage? And is my partner willing and ready? I think one of my favorite things about being married to James is that he's such a giving and selfless person. And that's really like one of the secrets, I think, to having a good marriage is the more selfless each of you can be, the better your marriage becomes. And so a lot of people go into marriage thinking, what can I get out of this instead of what can I give? And it is important to share what you need and to talk about your feelings and not try to shove them under the rug and be like, I'm just going to give and not share what I need too. That's not healthy. But it is important to realize like you're not always going to get what you want. And your life is about laying down your life now to love this other person. And so are you ready to do that in the everyday monotony of life?
And hopefully that's something you've been practicing even in your other relationships is not, like Tiffany said, don't be a doormat, but be someone who is looking for opportunities to give of yourself so that when you do get married and all of a sudden you have that relationship that is your number one relationship, you're not going to be bitter about giving 100% as that's your number one priority.
So I hope that those questions can be helpful to you. And if you're married, would you comment below? Like, are there questions you would add to this list? And so now we're just going to share briefly what we did for premarital counseling because it's a little bit unique and it was a recommendation by my father.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we had read some books on premarital, like things to talk about before you got married. And so we talked about money, which was important, and kids, and geographic location, and different life goals. And that was all really helpful. And we felt, we're sort of on the same page. But the counsel that we received was just that there's a lot of things that you can't totally prepare for.
And preparation definitely helps, but there will be things that come up that you can't always foresee.
Yeah. So what we did is starting, I think, 2 months before we got married, we met once a month with a couple who had been married for, I think, 35 years. They're kind of friends of Tiffany's family, but it wasn't someone that either knew Tiffany really well but not me, or vice versa.
Yeah, we wanted someone neutral.
We both felt like they were neutral, so that when we, had chatted about what we were doing and how our wedding planning was going and then how the first few months of marriage were going, eventually at the end of dinner we would say, well, we have been really disagreeing about this or really wrestling with this. And both of us felt like the advice that we were going to receive was relatively impartial and wise.
Yeah.
And, because they were wise people, they didn't say, oh, you should do this. They helped us think about it. They helped us talk about it.
Yeah.
And it was really helpful. And we met with them for, I think, about a year. And we learned so much from them after we got married, where we're actually trying to figure out marriage, than when it was before and we were just trying to imagine in our mind what it would be like.
Yeah. So feel free to take that advice. We would highly recommend a mentor couple who's older and wiser and impartial, because it was really helpful. So love you girls. Thanks for being with us today. And we're going to be back in a week or two with some of our top marriage tips so far. We've only been married 2.5 years, but these are things.
Learned a lot.
And we've picked a lot of people's brains. So a lot of our advice comes from older and wiser and longer married people. So love you girls, and we'll see you later. Bye.